Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fifth episode of the Grizzled Veterans Podcast. There's been a bit of a hiatus. This might be our longest span in between recording, but nonetheless, it's about quality and not quantity.
Always.
At least that's what I like to think.
Always. I'm always.
Who's on the other end that we still can?
We still got Donovan O on the other side, the dark side.
The dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
The dark side of Guelph.
Yeah.
Although the light is coming. Spring is around the corner, my friend.
Spring has sprung, my friend. The first day of spring was Sunday.
Is it? See,
yeah.
I don't keep track of this stuff.
You know what's funny? Because my mom is the one that told me.
You know what? That's what parents are for. Yet I'm a parent, and I'm like, okay, I'm still like this. Am I ever going to be like?
Yeah, but
when you're like, don't forget to put the clocks ahead. And I'm like, I had no idea that I was supposed to do this, right? So when my son gets of age, am I even going to do that, or am I just going to be still the lazy son of a bitch that I am now?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, right? Probably. So Donovan, what the hell have you been up to?
Well, honestly, the last few weeks have been pretty consumed with Elden Ring, but also, I'm job hunting as well, right?
Beautiful. So, you're stepping down from CEO of the world.
Yes,
and you're going to take a more admin position,
more humble approach to the later years of my working career.
It's good.
Yeah,
you've made your millions.
Yes.
And now it's just to step back, collect the pension, and focus on your passion projects.
Yes, exactly.
Which would be?
Well, I'm trying to get into audio, which is something I should have done a long time ago. But
look what we're doing.
We're kind of doing it, But I mean, as a paying gig.
I put this shirt on, and when you hang it too long, and then the hanger that it gives you the 10 shoulders.
Yeah,
it's just driving me nuts. I'm looking at myself. Man,
people are gonna love watching this one.
My shoulders.
This is why I don't care that I don't have a camera, man. I don't have to worry about that.
Oh God!
See, you're gonna be all like,
probably recording in your briefs, you pervert.
I'm not telling.
All right. So audio's in the future. We will stay tuned for your next endeavor professionally. Yep. I'm sure.
Onward and upward.
Yeah. Me, I suppose you'd like to know what I've been up to, right?
I would like to know what you've been up to.
Cool. I took last week was March break. Canada does the United States have March break? I assume so, right?
Well, totally, man. I mean, there's movies about that stuff. Spring break. Okay.
Well, spring break's different though.
Well, I guess
spring break is a college uni thing. Like that's before.
Or is it not around the same time?
They're like a week apart or 2 weeks apart or something.
Okay, well, that's not that far apart.
No, they're not, but they're not the same thing.
All right.
That's
I always kind of, it's one of those things where, we always joke about what Americans don't know about Canadians, and it's like, well, there's a subtle thing that.
Well, but I'm wondering if they still have March break too. Because
it wouldn't surprise me if maybe, like you said, like spring break's kind of like a college university thing, and maybe like March break's still. Come on.
So I took March break off. That's the first week
and you didn't go see Batman.
No. So by the time I put my son to bed, roughly 7:30 ish, and then there was an 8 o'clock showing, and then a 10 o'clock showing, and it's going to take me about a good 10 minutes, likely 15, to get to the movie theater. So by the time, and I know they don't start, but if I don't want to miss any of it. So slim pickings on the 8 o'clock show. And if I'm going to go at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be in the movie theater till I'll get home at 2 a.m. It's just
not that late.
It's a 3-hour movie. Trust me, I want to see it. But at this point, COVID and the bullshit that went on has conditioned me. I'll just watch movies in my house. I really don't give a shit if it doesn't fit.
Well, fair enough.
Like IMAX
audience,
would
you can
be
have
the one thing I'll get out of my house for.
Well, I got to see it, and I really enjoyed it. So
I think you and everybody, from the sounds of it, non-spoiler.
I'll just say, as a longtime Batman fan, I've seen pretty much even the crappy ones I've seen in the theater. And there's only a couple of those really. But no, this was the most like a Batman graphic novel of any of the movies, in my opinion.
Like it's whereas see, like Nolan films really focused on the Bruce Wayne aspect.
Okay,
Whereas I
well
hear this one, most
this
of it is Batman.
he's in bat mode like for most of the film. There's like, there's moments of Bruce Wayne, but it's there's a huge focus on Batman.
See, I prefer that. Like don't be wrong, Bruce Wayne is, a significant part of the entire character, but it is kind of called Batman, right?
No, and again, like I say, this is I've actually kind of said this was the most Batman movie of all the Batman movies.
Good. And they really delve into like his detective
This
aspect
was
of
the
the character.
most detective you've seen in any. Yeah, like I say, in that regard, it's the most Batman of all the Batman movies.
That's a good thing.
Um, and it's great watching him work with Gordon because they're a real. They're kind of like a team in this one. And it's early in Batman's career, so he's only a couple years in.
Yes, like a
And there's
year in,
a
like year one or year
this is
two or something.
this is 2 years in. So, um, he's still there's an arc for him at the end of the movie. You're kind of like, oh, okay, this is, and there was some really nice, like the cinematography is good. There's tons of mood. It's almost always like at night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really good cast all around. It's 3 hours long, but it's not slow.
Like I have no problem with long movies,
It's
honestly. Like
always interesting, so it doesn't
I
like.
now I do think on the whole most movies are too long today.
Hmm.
Like when we grew up and years ago, like most movies never delve past an hour and a half unless it was like The Godfather or
Oh,
like a
most
select
movies
few.
back then were 90 minutes.
Yes, like they were edited, paced well. I feel like on the whole, I think that's a reflection on the directors sometimes too. Like if you can't tell your story and you're just being bloated for bloated's sake, and also this is catering to the Western audience where they actually think we're dumb, and we can relate this to video games too, where video games for a while were just front loading tutorials out of the ass, and it was like, okay, man, can I just play the game? But it's like they really assume the viewer is stupid in a lot of these larger Hollywood films. And it's just like, the dialogue is simplistic and they over explain things rather than letting the viewer fill in the gaps. And I think that's where the bloat from some of these films come in.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that is a reflection on Batman at all.
No,
Uh,
I think Batman's definitely an exception to that. Although, I mean, it's not like there were a
like
couple
it's
of
not
kids in the
perfect.
audience, and I would say that it's not so much. I can't see kids like younger kids getting into this Batman movie as much because it's
It's
pretty
too
dark.
long and it's
It's
dark.
long, and it's yeah, and it's less like. I mean,
The long movie.
there is action in it, but it's a lot more visceral.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I don't mind like the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings are the only ones I'll watch.
Oh,
So
I'm the same way.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, I gotta see it. I'm so behind on movies, Donovan. Like I used to like my Blu-ray 4K Blu-ray collection is insane. Yes, I still buy physical copies of the music of
Well,
movies
I
I love.
mean, if you're gonna have a
But
player, you might as well have a few movies to watch on it, right?
I just I know no one wants to hear this. I just it's hard to find the time. It really is for me. I have so many things I like to do and so little time right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Uh,
It's tough.
Family man, and he's a busy man.
Yeah, I am. I am. Here's my tea coming in.
I
Thank you
no,
very
I've
much,
watched
my
a
love.
couple of the good movies this
Ow, ow,
past
ow,
couple of days. So,
what else you watch?
well, the Oscars are coming up, I guess, and so I decided to watch a couple of the
Hey, go, Mom.
Best Picture nominees. So I watched
Oh,
Nightmare Alley the other day, and that was quite good. It's 2.5 hours, so that's like you
so
were
what's
saying.
that?
That's the new one by and I always fear that I'm going to butcher his name, but Guillermo del
Oh,
Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah,
Is it nominated for something?
yeah, it's nominated for Best Picture.
Oh
So,
wow. Okay.
and quite the cast. I mean, Willem
See, and he won
Dafoe.
for Shape of Water, and that movie's dog shit. That
Well, I
movie
mean,
sucked.
I didn't. I liked it, but I mean,
Did you really?
I didn't think it was like, it's not my favorite of his movies.
Like, okay, it's well crafted, but I'm sorry, like, and I like his films, I really do.
Mhm.
The whole concept of me, I thought it was just absurd. I couldn't even take it serious, and they have good actors in it, like Michael Shannon's in it. Um, the female lead was a great actress. I didn't buy it. I thought it
Yep.
was silly.
Well, I mean, that's totally cool, man. I mean, I think it's kind of one of those types of movies, especially that the story it's telling. Yeah, some people like yourself just not going to be
Like,
the audience for it. So
she's fucking this fish in this bathtub. That's where me and my wife, we just shut it off. And I watch some weird fucking films all the time. Like I'm into weird stuff, artsy films, a whole bunch of stuff.
my
That shit.
yeah,
When she starts fucking the fish, I was out.
that's funny.
I know.
I watched Power of the Dog last night.
So I've seen that. Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interest. It definitely surprised me with the story that it inevitably told, because that's not what I didn't know much about it. I think I'd maybe just heard about it and was like, yeah, I'll watch
Yeah, I
that.
didn't know anything about it either. And I'm a fan of Westerns.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not a typical Western movie.
No, it's not. I will say I didn't love it. I think the praise for it is far too extravagant. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch is very good in it.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge Kirsten Dunst fan, and I thought this was a bad performance by her. Like her whole being a drunk performance wasn't remotely convincing. I'm a far better drunk than she is.
Well, and I mean, I feel I like her as an actress as well, and
I think she's awesome. She's not in enough films lately.
Well, she does a lot of smaller movies.
She does.
I watched something. What the hell was it called?
I think she's married. The guy that plays the guy that she is married to in the film, I think that's her real life husband.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, isn't he lucky? Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they. I wonder if they asked her to. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. I wonder. Like, I wouldn't say that this. She did they purposefully ask her to, like, not look as good for this movie?
Well, I'm sure, she's a hardworking woman in the film. It's a time where not a lot of people wear a ton of makeup, so women weren't done up in that capacity. I mean, she still looks great.
Oh, absolutely.
I wasn't convinced.
I assumed it was for the role.
I was always captivated by her acting performances in films, and this one I thought it was pretty flimsy. To me.
Yeah, I would say it's not my favorite performance of hers either, but I did enjoy the film overall. And like I said, I was surprised by what the story was actually, what the story actually was in the end. I was like, that's the story we're telling. Okay. Oh, this guy is like actually like incredibly repressed and
yes. Yeah. I liked it. There is some controversy around it too. I don't know if you paid any attention.
I'm not really into looking into. I did notice after I watched it and I looked a couple things. I was just kind of seeing what.
I think it's a bit silly. A film can be whatever genre it can go in any direction it wants, and you can like it or you don't like it, but it says it can exist. You don't have to watch it or enjoy it. It's a film.
And that's how I looked at it. I mean,
just like a game. There's a lot of games out there that people try to. There's a game coming out right now called 6 Days in Fallujah, based on conflict. Remember?
Yes.
And there's people are trying to say it shouldn't exist and this and that. You know what? Shut the fuck up. If you don't like it, don't play it. But it has every right to exist. And if you don't like the side of the story it's telling, go and make your own game. Well, Make the game from the other side if that's what you choose to do. But, creative vision, creative license, they can take it in any direction they want to.
Yeah, and I understand that this is kind of a darker story as far as war stories go.
For sure, but I mean, let's not pick and choose here. We do war stories,
and that's what I was trying. That's what I was going to lead into. It's not as if like how many war movies and stories have we seen over the years?
Yeah, like it's funny when people like selective offense. And you're right to be offended. your right to be offended doesn't mean everyone else has to. Cool, you're offended. Great. I don't care.
What does
That's
that
your
mean?
problem.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, for some reason, being offended became such a huge.
Yes, all of a sudden I'm offended. Everyone take notice. Everyone, like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's not my problem that you're offended.
There's been tons of things that bugged me over the years that I never even said anything about, It's just like, oh, well, I mean, so what? I mean, who's going to care that I give a shit about that,
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes, anyway. So before we roll right into the podcast proper, did you get any cool shit lately? I know we started to do this. We're grown-ass men, but we talk about our little toys and trinkets we get before.
I don't know. I mean, I picked up the new Tears for Fears CD.
Yeah, I saw that, and you weren't in love with it.
Well, I mean, I won't say it's a bad album. It's a good album. It's just I think what I was hoping for was that it would be a more ambitious record.
Okay.
The lead-off single and the second song I heard were both like kind of leading me to believe that this album was going to be like jam-packed full of stuff that was like, I don't know. I just kind of felt like the album was going to blow me away a little bit more than it did. There were a couple of songs on it that didn't do much for me. So.
Aww. Is that it?
Pretty much. I mean, that's the gist of it. I just thought it was going to be a little bit more ambitious considering they haven't put anything out for like 17 years or something.
And of course you bought Elden Ring, which we will get into later.
And I bought Elden Ring and I've been playing the ever-living crap out of it. So
I bought Elden Ring too.
Yes.
I
haven't fought her yet.
No, she's later on.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty far.
It's a very cool figure, I must say.
Yeah.
Detailed, well.
No,
nice,
I can even tell from this. Yeah.
Cape is flowing. So let's see. Can we put her here so she can be visible?
I defeated the guy that she's fighting in the trailer.
Radan, General Radan.
Yes, I have defeated Radan.
Okay, she's gonna sit right there. So she's gonna peek in. All right.
Nice. Cool. I like it.
And I got I got something, but I bought this for myself.
Yeah, no,
It's a 3D diorama. It's hard to see with the reflection of Final Fantasy Tactics. This guy, Game Arts on Etsy, makes these, and it's hard to see, but it's the job choice.
No, man,
circle.
I can see it a lot better now than you did when the picture you sent me. So
yeah, like it pops out. All these things stand up, and then my name's the middle character I chose as the later as Delita, but in his later on costume choice, my name and my zodiac sign there, Aries.
Nice.
So I thought it was really cool. It's got the Dark Knight, and I even though I chose Delita, Ramza is right there at the front.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
But I thought that was really cool. It's a little smaller than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be a bit bigger, but it's cool. I love Final Fantasy Tactics, and I know we were talking about that.
That's a very cool
based
item.
on that NVIDIA link. I think we might be seeing something about Final Fantasy Tactics in the form of a remaster or something like that in the near future. But,
well, because I mean, I played it way back when. I just never finished it. In fact, I didn't really even get that far into it, to be honest.
It's like peak, other than Final Fantasy 14 and its Heaven's Ward expansion and later Shadow. Oh God, what is it? Shadowbringers? Yeah, Shadowbringers and Endwalker. I haven't done Endwalker, but everyone says Endwalker is probably the best writing. So other than those three expansions for Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy Tactics is like peak narrative writing for not only genre, I would say all of video games. Like the political intrigue and the character evolution and the way the story goes in Tactics is just, it's really, really great.
Well, and that's why, like, part of the reason why I haven't gone back to the original version is because that's the only one I've got, and I'd rather play the when they did the rewrite.
Yeah, so I have I'm sure you can get it in a ROM form, but it's called War of the Lions. It came out remastered sort of for the PSP. And I have that. It's it's awesome. They added these like animated cutscenes to it, and like the load times weren't amazing though, but they weren't great on the PlayStation 1 either.
It always made me wonder why they didn't make those games playable on the PS3.
Oh, Donovan, like if this, we're going to touch on this later. I think our topic, one of them anyway, is going to be the state of Square and some of their puzzling decisions. Seems to be our favorite targeting dartboard lately, but
well, only
Final
because
Fantasy and Square make up one of the pillars of Grizzled Veterans.
Yes,
and you know what? We can criticize our favorites just as much as reap praise on them.
Well, and that's the thing. I think we do equal amounts, or not even equal amounts. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And they seem to have done some weird stuff lately, so we're allowed to talk about that.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So that's pretty much in terms of my haul lately.
Yeah.
I always get some funny things, cool things.
Well, I mean, I'm about to upgrade my television. And,
yeah, those are big purchases. We talked about that last time too.
So that's happening in the next month or two.
Good for you.
I think I'm actually just waiting. I'm actually going to get the new model instead of last year's.
Just splurge.
Well, because the new one is going to have a feature that works directly with the new Xbox, so that's going to be a nice feature as well. So, and I do think that the Xbox is going to be the console that I upgrade first. By the looks of it. Oh.
Good. So, I guess we get into what we're playing, and since I'm sure everyone is waiting with bated breath for us to talk about
Elden really, Ring. Like, what's this, a gaming podcast or not?
We'll talk about Elden Ring. It's the big game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Horizon was the first big game of the year, but this has come out of the gates and exceeded expectations critically and commercially to the tune of 12 million units sold, which was the big announcement, which makes it From Software's highest selling game ever.
Yeah, no, and that's fantastic. And yeah, not to downplay Horizon by any stretch, but Elden Ring seems to have taken over the media for the last little while.
Sure. I mean, that happened. It released around, the first Horizon came out around Breath of the Wild too, which, I mean, Breath of the Wild didn't have much impact to me. I don't know. I preferred Horizon, quite honestly.
That's interesting because I don't normally hear anything but like glowing praise for Breath of the Wild.
Well, we can get it another time, but I don't think it was a very Zelda game. I think it forgot some of the best aspects of the game to, like, what it made in terms of the open world go anywhere aspect that everyone seems to fall over themselves praising. I don't know. I've done open worlds before. Great. I guess kind of not like this, but whatever.
Yeah.
There was no real dungeons, and there was extreme lack of bosses or narrative in Breath of the Wild for the most part. So it's not, and I hate, I'll just end it like this. This isn't a Breath of the Wild conversation. I think severe weapon degradation is one of the cardinal sins of gameplay in games.
Yeah.
And that's what Breath of the Wild relied on. It's like, you have these cool weapons, but you can't use them or they're going to break. That wasn't really something that I loved.
Yeah, no, that's a ridiculous, that's probably...
Like the Master Sword, like the cardinal thing and thing. You could only use it for a little bit and then would break, and then there's like a cooldown thing to it. And so, yeah. Anyway. Elden Ring.
Well, hey, I mean, going into Elden Ring from that is fair enough anyway, because people have been, praising it, but also comparing it to other games such as Breath of the Wild and saying, oh, well, I wish it had this or I wish it had that. And I'm like, my experience with FromSoft games goes back to Demon's Souls, I guess. And, this game is a culmination of everything they've done up until this point, right? So the main ground they're breaking, I guess, is the scope of it and the fact that it's open world, as far as their game design goes. But I don't have issues with. Well, I mean, sure, there's been a couple times where I'm like, why can't I get up there, or how do I get up there? when I'm doing certain, like, just even outdoor traversal, right? But I mean, a lot of the joy that I'm getting out of the game is just through the exploration and self-discovery, and that's actually one of the fun things about playing this game at launch is, at this point, there's secrets and guides and all kinds of stuff you can look up and all that. But during the first, couple of weeks of playing, it was pretty much just all figuring out on my own, which was a lot of fun.
How's it? What are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on my Xbox One X.
So how's the performance?
The performance for me has been pretty excellent. In fact, I think it's improved with the newest patch.
Okay. Yeah, because, see, technical things, like, it's been a buggy game. That's just the way it's been. But that doesn't mean everyone experiences the same thing. I always hate, like, well, this game's been great for me. Okay, man, I'm glad. But that doesn't discount the fact that a game, whatever game we're talking about, whether it's Battlefield or, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not having massive technical issues. If a bunch of people are talking about it, it has these issues, right? And, I mean, Horizon, we talk about this all the time, that the state of these games, it's why I don't play games at launch, at least the big games.
Yeah.
I jump in to see, like, I couldn't help but jump into Elden Ring just to get a taste, but I'm not going to be, like, really, really playing this game for at least another few months. And it's nice to see the performance is getting addressed, and I'm glad you haven't had any issues, really.
I haven't had any bugs. I haven't had any crashes.
But some people have, and I don't know. That's why I asked.
No, my game experience, as far as technical side of things, I've only had one. I was in one area where there was, like, fog and all kinds of stuff going on, and then I had a dragon aggro on me, like a very big dragon, and that was the only time where I ever really saw some kind of crazy performance issue, because it slowed right down to almost next to nothing. But I mean, that was a one-time thing, and once I got out of that area, it was fine. So
yeah, well, that's good. So what did you start as?
I'm started as an astrologer, and I'm going with the intelligence build.
Interesting.
Going heavy spells. I got
nice.
Which is actually, I've normally played From Software games as a melee character, so this is sort of my first full playthrough as a magic user in one of their games.
So I'm going to let you. I'm going to be talking about Elden Ring a little later this week on another podcast. So this is going to be your show in terms of talking about it. But now I jumped in as a samurai. Like, what is it? I mean, everyone says, this game is just like it learned all the lessons and took everything, and just that's the culmination of Elden Ring. But to you, what really sets it apart? Like, what's been your overall, glowing impressions and stuff like that, or even any mild critiques or big ones if you have them?
Well, I mean, I just feel like it's got a really good flow, for one thing. The world is designed very well as far as the layout of things, and I mean, I've heard from other people saying, well, things catch your eye naturally in this game, and it's true. If you take a moment to just pan the camera around, a lot of the time it's like, well, you'll see things off in the distance or whatever, and they just draw your eye, and you might find something else along the way, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, the amount of discovery in this game is a big draw, I guess, because it's fun to there's so many secrets in this game. I feel like people are probably going to be finding secrets in this game for a very long time. I'm enjoying the scope of it, because when you first start off, and I'm going to try to keep this a spoiler free for you as I can.
No, like, I've been through, like, the initial part, and I jumped into, like, the main world and done a few things. I rolled a samurai.
Yeah. I mean, as you progress through the game and you start unlocking more map, it's like at first you think this place is huge. You don't realize how huge it is
No,
until you
I
actually.
know, like it is huge. Like the map is like the scope. You're like, wow, but then it's like double,
It
triple,
keeps
whatever. Like,
it keeps
yeah.
growing. Like I was like getting kind of blown away by the fact that like I'd move into an area and I'd be like, okay, I want to go. There's a map thing over there. I want to go grab and unlock this area's map, and I do that, and then I'd see another one. It's like, well, of course I'm gonna ride my horse over there and unlock that part of the map too.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden you're like, the map screen is just expanding and expanding and expanding, and you're like, oh my god, this place is huge. And then you find the underground, and you're like, oh.
So, in
So
terms of the scope, like, is there a game that you've played previously that you could compare the scope to in terms of like the feeling? Because to me, and I'm not even about the quality, but I, like, there's been games in the past that I felt like, wow, this feels like a grand adventure in a world. And although, like, in retrospect, I don't think this game is nearly as good as as people hold it up to be, or even how I felt probably in the middle of it. But Skyrim gave me that feeling
oh
where the complete, like, so there was a scope, and then you mentioned the underground, which I know is in Elden Ring, but when I found the underground in Skyrim, and there was this whole other world underneath the dwarven ruins and all this other stuff, it's like it actually felt like this just massive world that I was like, how am I ever going to see everything in this?
yeah. And it's funny that you would bring up Skyrim, because I'm sure that that's another comparison that's being made a lot too, in certain regards. And for me, my personal experience, this blows Skyrim out of the water.
Oh no, duh. I mean, just my initial impression.
Yeah.
I mean, although one thing I will say about Skyrim is that
And
the
again,
game's
that's
initial
me.
impressions were awesome, and then I just think it got progressively worse because it didn't play very well, and it just that initial luster wore off. But um, right out of the gate, I could tell. I mean, Elden Ring's just a superior game. It plays much better, and yeah, it's just more up my alley in terms of
Well,
me seeing a third person character, right? So,
and you're
although it was
asking,
an option in Skyrim, but the third person camera sucked.
yeah. Well, and you're asking me what I'm enjoying about this game, and I got to say, there's some really cool characters. I'm following some pretty interesting quest lines. Um, I, I don't think that I'm on the good path. We'll say
Okay,
that.
okay.
I mean, I think ultimately I could probably still pick the good ending, quote unquote. But I've done some things and set some things in motion that I think.
Forgive me, Father, for I have
Yeah.
sinned.
At one point, I went in and I readjusted my character's looks, because I was fine tuning it, and I gave him these like almost like crystal blue eyes, and then through an event in the game, I was like, all of a sudden, I'm looking at my character. I'm like, what's up with my guy's eyes? And they're all like bloodshot now, and
Oh,
I'm not going to explain why, because that's a fun part of that you'll
you
end up
sure that wasn't
figuring
you
out.
just putting one up in the air and playing the game, or what?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you why, but I was
No,
like, oh,
no. But I know this game is just chock full of everything, and around every corner it just surprises you. So, in terms of the quest log, so there's been a lot of discussion about, as for last week we talked about the inevitable difficulty discussion that would surround this game coming up, because last time we talked was before Elden Ring came out, and we just sort of preempted it.
right,
The get good discussion, and
sure.
we maintain that I think we both were on the road that I respect their vision in terms of the difficulty and stuff like that. And it's like, if it's not for you and you find it too hard, then it's not a game for you.
Well, and then looking at it from the perspective of putting many hours into it, this is definitely their most accessible game.
So yeah, a lot of people say that. I've heard that. I've also heard where the end game is probably the most difficult end game, not because of it really. I heard a lot of the bosses get extremely cheap.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
With
not going to say
some,
there aren't some cheap bosses and enemies in this game. There's been a few times where I've been like, really? That's how I died? Really?
mm,
And, there's been plenty of times when I die and I'm just like, well, okay, that was definitely my fault.
well, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part and parcel with the game. Where I was taking that last conversation was, people have we talked about the difficulty. What's your take on the conversation surrounding the way quests and stuff are handled in Elden Ring? Because the reason I say this is because this is From's first game where it's an open world type game. Yes, they've had side quests in other games that are not handholdy, or there's not this checklist where other games have it in a menu, but none of their games have ever come remotely close to being this big, and it's very difficult to keep track of. I know purists prefer that the UI be extremely minimal and the user experience be minimal as well. But well, I'll just let you. What's your take on that? Do you like the way they've kept it, or would you have preferred the option to have a little bit more in terms of user experience?
I kind of like
guiding you on some of these quests.
I kind of like having the responsibility of having to remember
I like that answer.
that I have to go to do. You know what I mean? It's like I'm the character in that sense. You want to talk about role-playing game? Well, okay. In that sense, yeah, I've got to remember that I've done these things. And in all honesty, yeah, there might be a few things that I've forgotten to go do or whatever, but yeah, and the game is huge. But I do find that I'm personally remembering to go back and visit characters that I've started things for. So, and with the latest, with the patch, they added
NPC markers.
The NPC markers, right? So,
I think
that was a good thing to add. Yeah.
I agree. It's this small olive branch.
Yeah.
Given to that conversation. Because I do think this conversation is different than the difficulty discussion. Because the difficulty discussion has been a mainstay through all their games, whereas this is their first open world game that could see some of these larger issues. I guess my take would be, with the accessibility options we have today in a lot of games, like you look at Tomb Raider, for instance, where your entire UI was completely customizable. There's a lot of games that allow you to take everything off the screen, or you could have everything on the screen. Now, right. I don't expect From to have these options, but I wouldn't have minded if they in the settings they added, like, if you choose to have quest logs in, you can turn those on. It would have broke the mold for them.
Is that something that you can turn on and off, though? You know what I mean? Is that
it's not in the game?
No, but I'm just saying, is that really something like, I've never seen something like that be an option in a game before?
Oh, I have for sure.
A quest log option?
Yeah, I mean, there is no pause screen, but there would be a way. I mean, they can implement anything. I'm not gonna say how they could do it, but they definitely could do it.
Huh. I don't know. I can't think of a game that's given me an option to have a quest log or not have a quest log.
Well, Final Fantasy 14 can. I mean, you can have it on the screen, or it could be hidden away.
Yeah, but you're talking about it being, like, the way I'm hearing you say it, it's like an option, like whether it's on or off, like not like a difficulty marker or something like that.
I suppose. I guess you could just hide it somewhere. I don't know. They definitely could do it. For the purists, I mean, I'm not really sure how they could do it, but it sounds like you don't mind it at all. Like, you respect
I honestly feel like, I don't know, and again, this is my own personal take, but like, I feel like if you're invested in this world, then despite how vast it is, the interactions you have with the characters should have some kind of impact on you, and you should probably have some kind of recollection to revisit areas and go see characters you've met. And in some cases, they come to the hall anyway, to the hub world.
Okay.
And not all of them do, but I mean, if you couldn't warp to every single grace in the game, then maybe that would be more of an issue. But the fact that you can literally warp anywhere on the map at any point in the game, except for there's some exceptions when you're in a dungeon or something like that.
Yeah.
To me, especially now with the character markers and all that kind of stuff, it seems almost like, well, if you can't remember that you talked to that person,
It's sufficient.
That's your own fault.
Yeah. You know what? I don't necessarily disagree. I was kind of playing devil's advocate juxtaposition on that conversation to bounce back. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, even I was replaying Final Fantasy 13 too, and I mean, I guess it's kind of got a quest log, but it's not called a quest log. It's
it's called something, but it's definitely there.
Yeah.
And well, Final Fantasy games aren't exactly, from games, but
no,
I don't know if there's any customability in that. It just is what it is.
I mean, I think people are making, like, Skyrim is a good example for a game with a very, like, deliberate quest log.
Yes. With markers to point you things on, the HUD should you choose on the compass and stuff like that.
I mean, the fact that you can put all kinds of different markers on the map too, like, again, I just feel like they've given the player the responsibility to, to be the character that they're playing, I guess.
Yeah, without the hand-holding nature of it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I think there's a lot of tools that they've given us, like the map screen is interactive. So it's like,
good.
Yeah.
How's
I can separate, like, this is FromSoft. This is how they make their games, like,
of course.
I sort of have an idea of what to expect. Again, I've played their games before, so I'm in that category of people that kind of know what to expect. If I was a new player, then maybe I would have a few reservations, but I think the game's enjoyable.
Players aren't having an issue, though. I mean, well, maybe they are, but I mean, they're in the door. They're buying this game and they're playing it.
That's the thing. Like, if they've sold that many copies,
some people have never played From games are jumping into Elden Ring,
and I think that's fantastic.
Sure, more people playing video games is always a good thing. Unless it's shit like Fortnite. Fuck out.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things I've heard too is kind of like, after getting a couple weeks in, I was seeing people write things like, well, the world is your oyster in this game. Like, you literally can go wherever you want. So if you're ambitious enough and you decide to go online, and, at this point, the online community that's, say YouTube or Twitch or whatever, wherever you want to get your game hints, they're almost the same as the messages that you can leave in the game in a certain sense. So at this point, you've got people that are real life people are almost NPCs in the game that are sharing information about the game. So if you decide to do, some of them
are with the system, it's quite entertaining. Some of the message,
yeah,
and the memes that have already surrounded this game. I've seen the meme beam. The maidenless.
Yeah,
like basically saying, "Dude, you get no bitches." That's it. And it's such a great burn. Like, you are maidenless.
Yeah. No, that's hilarious. And I've got that magic beam, so like the beam of death.
The Dragon
boss melter. Yeah. The melter of
how
bosses.
Are the legacy dungeons? How have they been treating you?
Well, I've done a few at this point, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I think so far I've been impressed by all of them.
Yeah. Like, some of them, do you just get in, you're like, wow, this is pretty awesome. Like, this entire setting.
And again, it's classic Dark Souls, but I mean, I like the Elden world. It's the universe that's been created here is, it's FromSoft. It definitely tastes like a FromSoft game, but the lore is new and it's interesting and enjoyable. So,
if they called this game Dark Souls 4, do you think it definitely would work?
I guess kind of, but I do think it's its own thing. Dark Souls has never been on this kind of scale before.
Mm-mm.
So I do think that it's its own thing, although obviously, like, you can't deny that it's got all the flavors, and the gameplay is all an evolution of what they've been doing all these years.
Yes,
It
it's an
makes me
iteration.
wonder, like, it does make me wonder, like, if you're a developer at FromSoft, how do you feel about working on sort of the same style of game for like the last 20 years?
It's a good question. And they've done such a good job, but it's like, I don't know, where does it end? Because it is the same. And just playing this game,
Mm.
like the mild amount I've played, it plays well, but it doesn't play like, I still think Bloodborne plays better. And I know Sekiro isn't really in the same vein. It's much, but it's like, I've played those two games,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that speed of the combat and things of that. Now I know, with Torrent the horse, it adds such a different wrinkle to it, but I don't know. There's something about their other games. I play it. Dark Souls 3 was the same way, although Dark Souls 3 played really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Bloodborne.
That's hilarious.
But then again, Bloodborne is narrower in scope. There's fewer weapons to focus on, so they
And
can
it had
really
a different
define.
play style. You know, it had its own
It
unique.
does, but it doesn't. I mean, it's still kind of the same vein.
Yeah, but having that pistol really kind of changed. Like, that whole mechanic was, to me, a lot. It's not just like parrying.
Kinda, because
I mean,
it's not really. No one really shot the gun for damage unless you got late in game and you had.
yeah, but I've
gun.
never been a parrying guy in any FromSoft game, and the fact that I used the gun as effectively as I did in that game, you know, like, I never parry like that ever.
Yeah, it was awesome. But
So,
and
yeah, Bloodborne is, you know, until I decide if Elden Ring is or isn't, Bloodborne is my favorite FromSoft.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Like, where does Elden? I mean, you're not done.
No,
obviously,
no.
And this thing can definitely change. For some people, they're saying, like, the amount of people that I've heard saying Elden Ring is automatically I think it's one of the best games ever. You know, they say things like that.
Well, in all honesty, my plan is to finish the game with this character, probably do a new game plus with it, but maybe not right after. And then I want to make another character that's more of a melee style character, and replay the game and do different things. And
that's one of the major pluses and that it would have over a game like Bloodborne and Sekiro, are the options to play in different ways.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a mage, you can be a battle mage, you can be a samurai, you can be a faith-based character.
And that's kind of, I'm doing kind of like a
thief, a sneak. You could be a dual wielder. There's all these different things you can do, and the game plays so differently in all these capacities.
And you're absolutely right. Like, yeah, like, apparently the samurai that you picked is the most ideal character to defeat the opening boss.
Okay. So you would still have how many hours are you into Elden Ring?
Like 84 or something like that.
Wow, good for you. Good for you. Do you have any semblance of how much further you have to go?
I feel like I'm past the halfway mark, but I mean, like, I don't really know how big the game is at this point. I know that there's a couple zones I haven't gotten to, and you're talking about the end game getting pretty crazy. There's definitely things I have not seen yet, you know, so there's still things that I haven't spoiled for myself. I mean, I've seen things popping up on my YouTube feed. It's like, oh, go get this weapon, blah blah blah, and here's where to get that.
I don't want to.
I
hate that YouTube does that, because one thing I wanted, well, with the Elden Ring collectors, it came with the digital soundtrack, like the full thing, and I downloaded that. But then all of a sudden, YouTube starts recommending all this Elden Ring shit, and along with that comes spoilers, like how to defeat this boss. And I'm like, man, get this shit off of my stuff. Like, I hate that.
Yeah. Now, I don't mind, like I said, you know, once the game's been out for a few weeks or so, and the community's kind of come together and they're telling each other hints and things like that. That to me feels a little bit different.
Oh, like, yeah, that's fine. I'm just talking about like how
But
the
yeah,
algorithms ruin games for me. Just
oh,
because I looked into one thing,
trust
then it's
me.
like because that's like the hot button topic, I got this flood of videos on my timeline front and center that have snapshots that are all spoilers.
Yeah. Oh no, I hear you, man. When Spider-Man was
Yeah,
looming, I had to be careful, like big time.
yeah,
But no, I hear you, because like my YouTube algorithm is showing me tons of Elden Ring stuff right now, so
yeah.
I got to be careful because I'm still. I mean, I'm pretty far into the game, obviously at this point, but I feel like
There's still so much.
I honestly I could probably do 150 hours on this playthrough if I'm. Who knows?
It's funny, like it's so daunting to me to hear that. But at the same time, it's cool that it's out there for me to experience and jump into. And I think we're going to be talking about this game for a long time.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I think this is a game that people are going to, like I said, there's going to be people discovering stuff in this game for many years. I think even, just because of how
So,
huge it is.
so real quick before we move, your top 3 From games.
Uh, Bloodborne is my number one. This is right up there. I mean, I don't know yet where to place this, but Dark Souls 3.
And Elden Ring.
Like, yeah, I might as well put Elden Ring in my top 3 because I know it's going to be one of the top 3.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, I loved. It took me a long time to appreciate Demon Souls, but I came around in the end. Dark Souls. Actually, I've never actually beaten the first Dark Souls.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
Neither have I. Dark Souls 2, I want no part of.
I've played that. I played Dark Souls 2 and enjoyed it.
Good. I know it's a love it or hate it sort of thing, even for fans, but it's not a game I've heard enough about it to know that it's not going to be for me.
It's definitely the black sheep of the bunch, but I wouldn't call it a bad game by any means.
Good. Any closing thoughts on Elden Ring before we move on?
Play it.
Play it.
Yeah. No, I highly recommend it personally. If you've wanted to play a FromSoft game or you've ever been curious, this is probably the best one to try first, just because, like they say, the game is your oyster, and if you know where to get cool stuff, you can get powerful.
Do you like oysters?
Not oysters. No, I don't think. I don't know.
I love oysters.
Have I had oysters?
Good. Love them. Raw oysters. They're an aphrodisiac, Donovan.
I don't know if I've had oysters. I've had mussels, and I've had.
They're an acquired taste, I'll tell you that. My wife doesn't like them. She thinks they're like a shell with snot in it. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Actually, no, I think I've had oysters, and I do like them. I was trying to remember if it was. Yeah.
So Shelby, me. My turn?
Yeah, moving right along into your.
You got to work on your segue, because you just leave me hanging, and then I got to introduce my own segments.
I was taking a breath, man, having a drink.
I know, yes, you were. I had a long time to sit and I finished my tea. Actually, it was quite good. I'm nursing a sore throat. I'm recovering from a cold here. The whole family is.
You're being a trooper doing the show tonight.
Oh, first, man, it's really hard. Like it's such a big sacrifice to podcast about video games. I'm still playing Returnal. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I'm trying to platinum this game, and it's not that it's hard. It's just so random, and it's pissing me off. But they did today. The free content patch was released for the new Tower of Sisyphus, which is a co-op area. So it adds all this new story shit and a co-op mode and some other stuff. A couple new weapons too, I think. So that might keep me going enough to get the platinum. But I will say that it's frustrating me. because now the game's trivial and I'm just trying to find these things that may or may not show up in each run, and they're not showing up for me.
I can remember having that experience with a couple of games throughout a course of my gaming career, but yeah,
it's like I love platinum trophies. I love, finishing a game in that capacity. But at this point, I'm just like, why am I doing this? I don't know. But more importantly and more contemporary, I've played all the Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins demos, but I really jumped into the last one to go through it, and I have thoughts.
Did the save data carry over on that one?
It does for this, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So this carries over to the full game. It's not time sensitive. There's a cutoff point where it stops you, and then it says, "Oh, you got to buy the full game if you'd like to continue."
Right.
So this will lead into our main topic, but I'm going to tell you, Donovan, this game is fucking bonkers.
I've kind of been hearing that.
I don't know. Okay, I'll just put, I don't know why this game exists.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I don't know why it exists.
It does look so weird.
I don't know why it was made. I don't know why they made it in the way that it is made. There's a lot of people saying, it's like a joke that it's like the writing was intended to be so bad. It's, it's this. The truth is, I actually think that Nomura, they created this game thinking he's like Jack is a badass and this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's the furthest thing from it. Like the writing is atrocious, Donovan. It is so bad.
I don't even like the character designs. Not even like, especially him, but
no one likes them. No one likes the characters. They're all stupid. They have nothing like. It's the most non-Final Fantasy thing I've ever seen.
Chaos. 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 Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos Shrine.
Chaos.
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 Chaos is chaos. Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. The Chaos Shrine. Chaos. 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 Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos Shrine.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos. Chaos and chaos.
Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos Shrine. Chaos. 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 Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. Chaos Shrine. Chaos. 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 Chaos.
Chaos and chaos and
Chaos. 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 Chaos.
chaos.
Chaos. Chaos.
And that's immediately what I thought when I first saw it.
Like everything, like there's all this shit, and I know it goes in a different direction at the end. I'm just saying, like, this game has like a minimal budget, first of all. Like, and it screams B tier budget in every capacity of the word. Everything about it.
And it's Team Ninja.
Yeah, they took. I'll get to the gameplay about Team Ninja in a minute, because that is probably the best aspect of it, but it has so many issues. But it's like, I just don't know. We'll get into this in the main topic, but this will be like a taste or a teaser. It's like, Final Fantasy is the best thing Square has going for it. It's their pinnacle franchise. It's their most
flagship.
Iconic thing, their flagship. Why do they hate it? Why would they do this? Like, this game is like, this is going to be your origin story now.
Well, and that
like,
was I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. I know that's what I'm thinking. It's like, this is
Donovan, it's fucking absurd. Like, it's so stupid. And it's not even spoilers to say that the main character is actually Garland. You know, that's the way it happens. Like, his last name is literally Garland. It's Jack Garland. You know what I mean? So,
oh boy,
the game is a disaster. Like, everything about it. Like, I guess so. The way the demo starts is completely disjointed. It jumps from a boss battle into some cool cut, like the cutscenes are cool, but whatever, it's random. And then you're in this story, like the way these characters, the way Jack, the main character, literally meets the other characters is Jack walks up to the kingdom or the castle, and he just looks behind him, he's like, huh. And they're like, huh. And my crystal's vibrating too. I don't care, I'm here to kill chaos. And then they do like all fist bump, and now they're boys for life. That's the game. That's how they introduce each other. And like, it's so bad, it's funny, but when you get right, I'm like, really, is this what we're doing? Like, this can't be what's happening in a game that is with Final Fantasy's name on it. Like, this
is that supposed to be like the equivalent of like what they would have done in the 8-bit days?
No, because they would actually, the characters had depth and they wrote them well, and there was an introduction to go along with it. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's different from the full game. From what I'm hearing, it's the way the demo starts is literally how the game starts, and that is a disaster.
Wow.
I don't know what they're doing, but moving right along, it's like, you know, I hear people talk about the combat's good. The combat is fine, but
it's the Neo engine, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's like the equipment you get is just completely overwhelming to the point that it becomes irrelevant in terms of meaning anything. It doesn't mean anything
because it's constantly dropping.
It's just shit of like nothing stands out. It's just shit. And then you get into a menu system for a game that is loot driven. Like, this is like a loot game, really. The way things are dropped to you, you're supposed to min-max stuff, but the menu system is so woefully inadequate for what it is asking of the player that you're not going to do this. It's completely cumbersome and confusing. It's not explained well. The job system that is underlying there is very interesting, and it incorporates all these jobs, which are signified by the weapons you equip. But even that's kind of poorly explained. And the truth is, you're only allowed to quick swap between 2 jobs. And there's up to like 23 jobs. Even Lightning Returns on the PS3 was quick swapping between 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In combat, like that quick. It's like if I'm the default swordsman, which can evolve and stuff, and then I find a lance, and now I'm a lancer. Okay? And then I find a club which will allow me to do mage shit. I gotta go into the menu, equip the club, then I come back out. Now I can hot swap to the mage. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cumbersome in that capacity. And then you'd have to optimize your gear, because some of the gear has perks for a mage, and you can press a button to do like optimize, which will optimize your equipment, but that's not going to give you the best stuff. Right. Like, it's just going to do the find that upper echelon happy medium. So all I'll say is the menu system sucks. It screams B tier, like this entire game screams B tier. Like, Donovan, you're in a city of Cornelia, which is, all the stuff from the original Final Fantasy is there, but there's these other dungeons, like they pull in from other timelines almost. Like, there's a dungeon that's Final Fantasy 14 inspired. It's not called the same thing.
Right.
But it's inspired. It even looks like one. It's very weird. So I think I have an idea where they're going to go with some of this stuff, because they allude to it. But
how far into it have you played?
Well, all the way through the demo. So
okay.
Five missions in or something like that. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I got to like level 20, I guess I want to say.
Okay.
Something like that. And I had like at least 13 jobs available to me that I could use.
So that's a fairly big chunk.
Yeah, like I will say, like it's cool. Once you get past all this cumbersome stuff, playing the game is good. I'm not going to say, like, I've heard some people, it's excellent. It's not excellent. Like, I will go to the fact that I don't know why they made this game Souls inspired in terms of the combat. Like, Neo is Souls inspired, but Neo was quicker, snappier. This isn't like that. Like, Jack runs like he's in molasses. He's so slow. Now his dodging and stuff is quick, but this entire game would have been more like a gameplay system that was more flashier and quicker. Like, I'm not saying, I'm going to use an example here, but not like this. Like Devil May Cry, it would have been more. It would have been better served to have a quicker, flashier gameplay system.
Right.
It just would have. I don't know why they chose what they chose. My suspicion is they chose it because that's like the catchy thing to do these days, is to, oh, it's got a Souls combat system, where I just don't think it fits in most games.
Well, no. And again, you're talking about how they're including things from the original game, but like it's almost distasteful in a sense by the sounds of it.
It shits on it. Like, I'll back up. You're in this town, okay, and then you have this pull down menu on the side. It's like talk, and then you talk, and there's like this 6 people you talk to, and it's like you click on one of them, the screen goes black, you pop up, there's the character who gives you some like nothing like word bubble, the screen goes black, and you're back at the menu. That's how you talk to people in the town.
Oh my god.
It's so bad. Like, it's so bad. And like, talk about the animations. Like, the animations for the characters are bad. Like, it animates really poorly. Like, I just don't know what they're doing. I don't know why this game exists. I don't.
Well, and that's not the only game that they've released recently that's kind of been not very well received.
No, I mean, obviously not. Like, what just came out?
The Babylon, what was that? Babylon something?
Yeah, Babylon's Fall. It's like a 3. And everyone knew that game was going to be bad because all the previews have been bad.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone told them that was bad. And it's funny because when they revealed that game 4 years ago, whatever, that initial trailer looked awesome. It had this like cool art with mechs and awesome armor. And then all this history was flashing up, and then they're like platinum. And I'm like, all right, this game looks great.
Right.
And then they showed it. And I was like, what is this? Like, it's platinum, and platinum did the gameplay, and it plays horribly.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is going to be a little mar on their record, but
like, we can roll into our topic here because this is a great segue, but I just, like Donovan, I don't know what to say about this game. I really don't know. I'm just blown away that a game like this, I don't know how it made out the door. I'll just tell you that. I don't know how people were like, yeah, this is going to be sick.
Well, and again, like, it's not
worthy of Final Fantasy.
And you know, early buzz was all of that. So, you know, when they first released like the first trailers and that first little bit of gameplay and the chaos.
Well, yeah, people were like, this is stupid.
Like people were laughing from it from the get-go, and now they've released it and it doesn't look like I think it was already too far along when they showed it. You know, for them to change too much.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I don't believe this, what I'm about to say, but I will do this just to extend the olive branch silver lining here. Maybe we get the full game. I get the full game, which I'm not going to buy right now because what I played in the demo just really turned me off.
Well, it doesn't feel like something you want to pay full price for.
No, it's not. And it's not worthy of my time right now, to be honest. I got better things to do than play this fucking game. Like, maybe they patch it and it's like they speed it up and they iron out some of the menu systems and stuff. Again, another reason why I don't play games at launch, because I assume they will fix some of the stuff. And if they don't fix it, then they just have no clue how to make a good game anymore. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Game's a mess, though.
Well, yeah. And yeah, so Square Enix is kind of releasing a few messy things right now.
So is that going to be our topic?
I guess we're rolling right into this. You said a segue was happening here.
I'll just preface it in a nice box. What is going on with Square Enix?
What is going on with Square Enix?
Because
so we've got Babylon's Fall, we've got Stranger of Paradise. Forspoken is about to launch soon, right?
Just got delayed, which I think is a good thing.
By the looks of it, yeah.
Now,
I mean, it doesn't look.
I think the game looks good. I think they have a lot going for it, but I think the game was rough. And again, it just underlines some of the shit that we're talking about. I don't know why they showed that game in the state it was in, because it wasn't ready to be shown.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't fathom. Listen, I don't make games for a living. I would like to in some capacity in the future, and I think I will. But I don't run one of the biggest gaming companies in the world with almost 40. Well, they do like 40 years of history, just about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's time to start treating like they need to start acting like they've been making games for 4 decades, because what they're doing with some of this stuff, it's like they have a massive hit, like Final Fantasy VII. Remake, the first part, and then they have Final Fantasy 14, which is making an insane amount of money and keeping them afloat, and all their expansions are great. Like Endwalker was rated like it's a 91 on Metacritic or 92.
Wow,
something like it's super high, like top tier shit. So which it's just puzzling. Like, how do you, like, I'll give them praise. They take chances, okay, and I like that. I like that.
Well, and I think something like Forspoken is definitely like you got a brand new IP. It's definitely got its own thing going for it. But yeah, I mean, you say it shouldn't have been shown in the state it was in, and it's like I sometimes think about like when we were kids, and you'd used to see, we'd be reading our EGMs, Electronic Gaming Monthly, for those in the know. And they'd have like the splash pages of the things coming soon or whatever, and all you'd get were little screenshots. I mean, that's all you could get back then, right? And we didn't have video footage of anything, and that had to be enough. But see, now there's so much more pressure to have these. We gotta
video
show
previews,
off this new product or
demos. Yes,
and so it's not. I'll give them that much in the fact that there's more scrutiny now, because everybody's like, again, these are all reasons why they should have waited longer to show some of this stuff, but I mean, it's a two-sided, it's a double-edged sword, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, it can be a gift and a curse. Like, yes, it's more demanding in terms of showing, but I will say for the bigger games, it's easier to get word out there. Like, if you, and there's no reason, if you're making a game with the budget and the talent that these, like a company like Square has, like an indie game, they got one chance to really make that impression. If they blow that chance, they're done. They'll sell nothing. But whereas like big companies have multiple chances, but it's like, even then, like, you should know what the confidence. Like, there's no way they showed Forspoken that first time, and it wasn't even a gameplay demo. It wasn't a hands-on demo. It was a like hands-off pre-done showing.
And I'm fine with that.
I am too, but it ran rough.
Yeah.
And it was choppy, and it's like, this can't be what you show as a first impression. It just can't. Like,
right.
Who is running the show there? Who is making these decisions? Because this just screams amateur to me.
Well, and it makes me wonder too, like, with the, are we getting the same level of quality in the programming, comparatively speaking, to what we used to get from generations past?
Well, like, what generation we talking? Because they've been a mess since the PS3 360 era.
I pick a generation, honestly. I mean, I would say go back, as far as you want. I mean, there's always going to be little things that get missed or whatever, right? I mean, when we look back at
but games, I mean, we're not talking about little things.
No, exactly, and that's not what I'm not saying either. But I mean, we've mentioned in previous episodes about how, like back in the day, you got your cartridge or your disc or whatever, and that was that. There were no patches, right? There was no fixing things that were wrong with the game or whatever. You had to make sure your game was as close to as perfect as you can when you release it. And now we get games that are, this is exactly why you say you don't play games right away when at launch, and why you're waiting on Elden Ring and things like that. I wonder sometimes if just the development cycle itself has just changed, and maybe the maybe the work ethics aren't the same. Who knows? There's all kinds of different things to come into play. But like, yeah, it makes me wonder. I mean, things in the everyday world.
It's no doubt that Square Enix specifically, but most Japanese companies had a hard time switching to the HD generation that came with the PS3 and 360. They had a hard time. Capcom was having a hard time. Konami was having a hard time. Square, the topic at hand, I mean, Final Fantasy 13's development was hell. But the truth is, it started before that. Final Fantasy 12's development was hell. Like, they lost their director part of the way through.
Well, I mean, you talk about Final Fantasy games going through development hell. It feels like the last 5 of them have gone through development hell.
They have, and it's like, I don't understand why. And this is, I really, if we're gonna, what is wrong with Square? Their leadership. That's what's wrong, and I say that with full confidence. I don't know who exactly is pulling the strings final wise, but whoever it is, they're not doing a good job. Nomura has way too much say in the things that they're doing, and he's stretched way too thin for even his meager talents in terms of what he handles. Like, his hand and everything that he's done lately has been no good. Like Kingdom Hearts 3, extremely underwhelming. He's hands-on with the Strangers of Paradise. This game is a fucking mess. Like, it's a game that shouldn't exist.
I didn't know he was actually involved with it. Yeah, I didn't know that. Or at least, I thought this was I thought this was something they farmed out to Team Ninja.
Well, they helped with the gameplay system, and I think they incorporated their system. But I think Nomura wrote it and did the character design, because that's how he started. He started as an artist and character designer, and that was his forte. Like, I'm not going to not give him credit for the things that he was good at. Like, you go all the way back to Final Fantasy VI and the original Final Fantasy VII. He's an artist, concept artist, and character artist, and all this stuff, and that he's great at it.
Sure.
But it's like Final Fantasy VII Remake was given to CyberConnect at first. Then it was taken away from them really unceremoniously, and they're like, yeah, we're bringing it in-house. And then Nomura's leading it. And then they talked to him. He's like, yeah, I didn't even know I was doing that. And it's like, what?
Actually, you know what? I found out that the Final Fantasy 13 team is the one that kind of worked on the 7 remake.
Okay, well, but I feel like, because Nomura was still involved with it, but they had
Katase, absolutely, but
they had Katase in there as a producer, and I think the only reason that project wasn't a complete mess, I mean, say what you want about it being in split parts, but that game is quality, whether you love the direction it ended up in or not. It does not seem, it seems like a high budget game. That's all I'm saying. Okay, it's a finished high budget game for what they wanted. Whereas some of their other projects just are not. And they've had a leadership problem, whether it's getting around the tech, whether it's scope. Final Fantasy 13 was a mess. Like, the amount of stuff that was left on the cutting room floor now, games have cut content all the time. But that game, I think, in terms of where they wanted it to go and what it ended up being, it's in trouble. So not only are they mismanaging their side projects, it seems like they'll have a hit, then they have 3 misses. But their main thing, their flagship, they're fucking around with it. And it's like, so much is riding on Final Fantasy 16 right now, Donovan.
Oh, God.
I think
no wonder they're not showing it.
But I'm the only reason if Nomura was involved and the regular people were involved, I would be like, oh my God, is this like the end as we know it of what we're doing? But no, since it's Naoki Yoshida, the Final Fantasy 14 savior, I have full confidence that 16 is going to be amazing when they do reveal it, and they said it's going to be spring, so it's now spring. So show me the Final Fantasy 16. But if they show that game and it's not in good shape, I don't know what we do with Square.
Yeah,
I just don't know. All I'll say is, if I ran Square, these games would not come out. Babylon's Fall wouldn't happen. Quiet Man wouldn't happen. Left alone or left aside, whatever that game was they made, that would never happen. And then it's like they make puzzling decisions like they make a game like Octopath Traveler and the recent Triangle Strategy and, Bravely Default. And then they just leave them on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Why are they there? Like,
Well,
I'm not saying they don't deserve those games. Bring them there, but bring those games to everywhere. That's like Square fans want those games.
That's like the War of the Lions, the PSP version of Tactics. Like, why weren't PSP games available to download onto the PS3? That just baffles me.
That, and then just go like, why are the pixel remasters of Final Fantasy 1 through 6 on mobile and PC and not console? Why? It's a console franchise.
Yeah.
Period. Like, what is that decision, Donovan?
They're waiting to package it into a $100 bundle for consoles.
Okay, fine. Like, I'll buy it. Like, and you know how many? There's multi-million other people that would buy it too. $100 for 6 games remastered with nice fancy packaging.
Yeah.
Have all my money right now. But it's like, where's the 13 remaster trilogy?
Yeah.
These are all money makers. Where's the Chrono Trigger re-release with trophies on consoles and achievements on Xbox? Where's that coming along with Chrono Cross? We talked about this. They just announced the new at the State of Play, a new Valkyrie profile. Okay, Valkyrie profile, a third one. It's a series we never thought we'd see again, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the best games ever is the first Valkyrie profile, which they remade for the PSP. Valkyrie Profile Lenneth. It's available nowhere else. And Valkyrie Profile 2, Silmeria, which is extremely difficult to find, only stranded on the PS2. Okay, nowhere else. Where are those games? You're going to reintroduce this franchise that is super, super niche. Okay, that most people look at this and they're like, what even is this? Because the gameplay, it's now an action game, not even an RPG.
Right.
It's like, what kind of decision is that? Like, why would you not say, remember this Valkyrie Profile series that you kind of might remember and it was loved? Here's those 2 games, okay? Now, look what else we got. We got a 3rd game, and now it's action. So you have something to work on, right?
And I mean, maybe when they get closer to releasing the game, they're gonna surprise us and say it's gonna come bundled with. But I doubt it, right?
They're not gonna do that, man. They're not, because that would make too much sense.
I mean, some companies seem to be getting onto this a little bit more. I mean, we're watching Konami.
Well, Konami's gearing back up, but Capcom has fixed all their shit.
Yeah.
Capcom was in the same trouble to different degrees, but they were in trouble too at the same time.
Yeah.
But they've righted the ship, and they are selling more games than they've ever sold in the history of their company. From Monster Hunter, that's even with Street Fighter somewhat struggling commercially. They've turned Resident Evil around.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is massive.
Well, I mean,
you can keep going.
Love it or hate it, Street Fighter V is at least in better shape.
For sure,
it's in
and
much better shape than it was when it launched. But I mean,
yeah,
I haven't played it in ages, so
yeah, and they're their own person, but I just don't know what Square's doing. I don't know. They have this treasure trove of franchises and IPs, and it's like they ignore them, or when they do bring them back, they're half-assed.
Yeah.
Or put it on random spots that make no sense, or when they do decide to bring them back, they're half-assed or stranded, or the budget is shit. Like what, Strangers of Paradise. What is that? Like, it's not. If you're gonna remake the origin of your flagship franchise, you got to give it a budget that's gonna sustain it. No.
Right. Or at least
did not.
I mean, and again, like if you're gonna make the origin to your flagship series, like, why did you farm it out? Why is it the way it is? Like, there's so many weird questions.
And why isn't it in the direction? Like, why didn't they just make a nice, cool fantasy game? Like, you know what I mean? Why is Limp Bizkit playing? Why is Frank Sinatra's My Way playing? Why is Jack Garland a fucking moron? Like, why are they wearing
why does Jack Garland exist?
Yeah, why does he exist? Why are they wearing sneakers? You know what I mean?
Are they wearing sneakers?
Yes. Like, why does one guy have a plaid shirt tied around his hips? Like, Donovan, I don't know.
I don't
How do
know.
we
The
fix
more
this?
you talk about it, the less I want to check it out.
But like, that's just one game out of many. Like,
Yeah.
I was listening to the track record since 2017, and it's like, man, there's some bombas there. Like, it's, to me right now,
I mean, they came off Nier Automata.
it's like, yeah, for every Nier Automata, which also was hand in hand with Platinum, and they finally sort of locked up Yoko Taro, who was a free agent for a while. But like, and then you pigeonhole games in around that. It's like, I don't have the, I meant to write the list down because I was going to go through it because it really would have underlined my point. But of course I was lazy and didn't put it down. But I don't know, man. If it isn't for, if Final Fantasy 16 doesn't hit, and if they don't announce Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, there's it again. Okay, the state of, I know I'm ranting here, man, I know. But there's just so much.
The guy
There's
is
so
sick
much.
and he can't stop himself, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
but like, I mean, the handling of Final Fantasy Remake typifies exactly what we're talking about.
Well, the fact that it's going to take 10 years for the whole thing to be done.
Yeah.
I've been
Which-
saying that from the get-go, man.
And I honestly, it made me so mad to hear people say that. I'm like, there's no way they're going to do that. And you know what? They are going to fucking do it.
They are absolutely going to
They'll be
do it.
lucky
It's going to
to
take
make
them
10
10 years to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake.
And honestly, Donovan, that is bullshit.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
I've been saying that since the very beginning. As soon as they announced that it was going to be multiple parts, I was like, count me out.
You can't do this. You can't announce a remake, a multi-part remake for one of the most beloved games of all time, arguably your most popular game ever in the company's history. Okay.
Yep.
And then not have a timeline. Like, you can't do that.
No, dude, these are all the reasons why I want to love it, but I stopped playing it. I haven't finished it.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the first part. I did. But
I'm going to, but I guess I'm so pissed off about the way they're doing it that I'm having a hard time enjoying it.
I wish, all I'll say is this, and I'm going to end on this. You can end on whatever note you want.
Yeah.
I wish Square loved Final Fantasy as much as his fans did.
I can agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. I think Square needs to, they need to pay, they seem to say that they pay attention to what their audience wants, but sometimes I really think that they don't know what their audience wants. I mean, Stranger Paradise is a perfect example of that. You
Final
talk
Fantasy
about
16 is it, man, because it's,
Yep.
the trailer is, they said because it was supposed to be shown last winter.
Yep.
Yoshi P went on record and he said the reason we did not is because we were caught a little bit behind because of COVID. Okay, I will give them that one pass, okay? That one pass. He said spring. If they don't show it soon, because everyone thought it was coming at this most recent PlayStation State of Play.
Right.
Okay? Everyone thought, now, it wasn't technically spring, okay? So guys were like, okay, don't have your hopes up. But it's spring now.
Well,
They got to show this game.
3 days in, but yeah, it is
They have
spring.
to show this game, and it needs to look amazing. Like that initial trailer, to me, the tone, the combat, the pacing looked great, but visually, which was surprising because we talked about all this though, man. Like visually, it was off. It didn't look as good as it should be. Now he goes, trust me, it'll look better. So they need to show that game, and then it needs to be out this winter.
Well, I hope you get all your wishes, because I know that
I hope you get your wish, Donovan.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't as wowed as you were by the trailer.
That was awesome.
So my hype meter for it isn't as high as yours is, but
Boy, you better get hyped.
But of course I want the next Final Fantasy game to be great. I mean,
and we didn't even talk about Final Fantasy 15. Like,
did I finish 15? Yeah. Did I love it? I didn't love it.
Did anyone? I swear we pity played it, and there were, again, Final Fantasy 15 typifies Square so much. There's these grains of awesomeness in there,
Yeah.
surrounded by a field of shit and unfinished weirdness and unexplained. Like the story is just complete nonsense. Like I don't know. Anyway, we could go. Honestly, dude, I could keep going on this. It just drives me bananas how a company this big. And
well, I think it's because
rich,
we love them so much, you know.
Yeah,
like,
but video games love Square.
yeah,
They love them. They
Yeah.
want to love them, but they're not. They don't make it easy.
no, they don't. No, and I think because it's been like 40 years now or whatever. Yeah, come on.
I don't think there's a more clueless company out there making big video games than Square Enix.
No, they seem to be quite good at floundering right now. So let's see if they wake up in the next little while.
Yeah, they need Jesus or something. I don't know. Maybe I do. I don't know. Gotta take
Jesus Christ.
I gotta come down off this rant. My head's about to explode. I'm as red as my microphone.
Hey, poor. Hey, poor. You don't have to be poor anymore. Jesus is here.
So next time around, more Elden Ring, more everything.
Well, let's hope that we get some surprise announcements in the next couple of weeks or so, and Evo's going to happen. I guess.
Yeah,
What is that?
I'm pumped.
So,
Like PlayStation, did we talk about this? That PlayStation bought Evo?
I did. I don't know if I heard that.
Oh no, they own it,
No way.
and that's one of the big reasons that Smash is no longer part of it. Which, honestly, is perfectly fine to me. And I think it's just fine with the rest of the FGC because Smash was never. Smash players play Smash. They don't play other games. Now they might play them, on their own time.
Sure, but I think you got. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Whereas and then the other fighting game players, they don't play Smash.
Right.
They're but guys who play Street Fighter play BlazBlue and play Guilty Gear Strike and play Capcom Marvel vs. Capcom.
And
King of Fighters to a lesser extent. You know what I mean? They play all those games. Smash was. I know people love Smash, but again, the fan base for Smash only watches Smash.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you want me to keep saying Smash?
Smash.
Chaos.
Smash.
But anyway,
chaos.
I'm glad it's not a part of Evo anymore. Get it the fuck out. I never understood why it was there anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I feel the same way you do. I mean, I think people that like Street Fighter and stuff like that, they're more interested in
Those
other.
games they mesh.
Yeah,
they're hand in hand. Like the amount of guys that played Marvel vs. Capcom and played Street Fighter, there's huge crossover.
Yeah. Your Justin Wongs, your Daigos, your
like your Mortal Kombat players play Injustice, and some of them play 3D games like Soul Calibur. You know what I mean? You see these guys, they're playing these games. They're not.
Yeah.
There's no. Yeah. So
No, I'm gonna be looking forward to Evo this year, and I guess. Did you hear about the fact how they're gonna do the headliner this year?
I did not. Please tell me.
It's gonna be based on the highest number of applicants.
Okay.
So the game with the most players is going to be the headlining game this year.
Wow.
Yep.
That's surprising because typically it's always been a Street Fighter.
Yep.
And it may still, but Street Fighter 5 is not like that massively popular game.
What would be the most popular fighting game right now with the most players?
Tekken? Mortal Kombat?
I don't
And again,
know.
like the FGC doesn't absolutely love Mortal Kombat, but I would say the casual viewership of Mortal Kombat is pretty
Well,
high.
I mean, that's the thing. I think, like, especially when you're talking about North American audience, Mortal Kombat's probably going to be... But typically, Mortal Kombat doesn't have the hugest...
No, it doesn't. I don't know. There's an off chance that it might be Guilty Gear Strive.
I was almost going to say that. Yeah.
I mean, Dragon Ball Fighter Z was very popular, but it's kind of fallen off. It's
going to be there, but yeah, no,
I mean, it's a great game to watch. They're definitely going to announce Street Fighter 6 is going to be revealed at Evo. 100%.
I hope so.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It's beyond time, and I hope there's some more there too.
Well, I hope we get some cool announcements from Evo for the FGC.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to obviously show some DLC packs for whatever, like King of Fighters 15 or, Guilty Gear probably is going to have more. They're probably going to show a sneak peek at their season 2 or
Well,
whatever.
Guilty
But
Gear just released their final season 1 character.
right, so they'll probably do a tease
King
for
of Fighters
season
just
2.
released, I think, their first or second one,
Mhm.
which was God Rugal. Yeah, Guilty Gears was Testament.
Oh, Team Garo just came out.
Who?
Team Garo for for King of Fighters 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, Grand Blue Versus Fantasy Versus is going to be there too. Which is
That's
kinda
right.
cool.
That was one of the surprise last
I think
announcements.
that was the last one. Was it
Yeah.
the last one announced?
Mm-hmm. I believe
So
so.
that's cool. It's nice to see these games get the shine, and now that it's going to be an in-person event again, I'm all in.
No, I agree. I'm going to try to tune in as much as I can.
There was a fighting game I wanted to mention. I can't think of it. Shit. I'm gonna remember it as soon as we go off the air here.
Well, maybe we'll get another sneak peek at that League of Legends one that they're working on.
Yeah. I don't want that.
Well, the art style looks neat.
Yeah, it looks alright. Who knows? Maybe they'll have some surprises because PlayStation is involved. Maybe because Evo was always this nebulous. It was its own thing. It was big, but like companies were apprehensive. Other than Capcom jumping in with, some of the stuff. But their prize pools were small, and you wouldn't get a lot of announcements whole stock. But now the PlayStation's involved and they put their power behind it.
Yeah.
I have some more hopes. I have some high hopes for it. Maybe it takes it to the next level, Donovan.
I don't know. I maybe I feel a little bit weird that it's Sony that bought it, but yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, if you wanted it to grow,
yeah.
I mean, because the truth is, it was still owned like small, like independently, and I mean, I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, but
maybe it would have. I think it would have felt cooler if, like, say, Capcom bought it or something.
Yes,
like
sure, but then, like, if Capcom,
then it would have seemed too.
Like Arc System Works isn't going to come, NetherRealms isn't going to come,
right?
Like,
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and I think PlayStation is kind of like the de facto fighting game platform.
It would seem that way. I mean, Capcom's got that collection coming out, and I'm probably going to pick that up. And
that looks awesome.
With all the Darkstalker games and all that stuff in it. Yeah. I'm going to pick that up for sure.
All right, well let's shut out here.
Okay.
Anything in closing, my friend?
Hadouken.
Square, fix your shit. I'm gonna fly to fucking Tokyo.
Yeah, come on, Square, fix your shit before we had Hadouken your asses.
Before I have a coronary, I gotta. Oh my god! All right.
Yeah. Right. No, I want to see Square show us right by Final Fantasy 16, and I want to see some great stuff come out of Evo as far as announcements and stuff. So I want to be excited for Street Fighter 6. I'm
glad we pulled this show together at the last minute.
No, cool, man. I'm glad we did it too.
Melania, she says that's her name. Is it Melania? What is it? How do you say her name?
Melania or Melania, whatever.
Shoot,
man, some of these names. I'm getting a few names mixed up in the game at this point because there's a few that are similar.
What a great character design, though, eh?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great characters designed in this game. I'm very impressed with that too. So.
Sayonara, my friend.
Sayonara.
And we will see you soon. I'm glad we put together at the last minute.
All right, man.
Peace out. Namaste.
Namaste.